all the examiner, all the examiner, and all the audience who are present here. Now, first of all, I would like to introduce you about my group. My name is Kantantu. My name is Tusindiet.
My name is Kim Sokhain.
My name is Batisa.
My name is Sotrakan.
Three, speak about classroom management. Four, speak about teaching methodology. And five, conclusion. And now move to another slide. Yes. This is my turn. First, so I would like to show you about introduction. In this point, speak about five significant five subjects that I have studied from year 4. 1. Foundation education. 2. Applied linguistics. 3. Teaching methodology. 4. Translation and interpreting. 5. Research methodology. And now look at number 1. Number 1. Foundation of education. What is foundation? What is education? Education is the process of giving or receiving systematic and structure, especially to the school or university. In this point, we have studied about form of education and kind of education. Form of education, there are 3 forms. 1. Formal education. 2. Informal education. 3. Non-formal education. And kind of education, there are 4 kinds. 1. General education. 2. Vocational education. 3. Adult education. 4. Special education. And now move to number 2. Applied linguistics. What is applied linguistics? Linguistics, a study about language that concern about practical and application of language study. In this point, we have studied about different approach and style and strategy of teaching language. And moreover, applied linguistics has studied about phonetic, monology, formology, and meaning of the language. And now look at number 3, teaching methodology. What is teaching methodology? Teaching methodology is a way that we use to take to the student to learning properly in the class. In this point, we focus about how to set the lesson plan, how to create classroom management, how to set time management, and how to teach the grammar like deductive, inductive, and how to teach vocabulary also. And now move to the number 4, translation and interpreting. What is translation and interpreting? Translation is refer to writing our message from one language to another language, and interpreting refer to and understanding. If we have studied about this point, we can know about how to be a good translator, translate from some language to the target language, and like consecutive and translate and consecutive translate. And now look at to number 5. Number 5, speak about research methodology. methodology is research methodology. Research methodology is a logical search for new useful information. Yes, useful information. Of lexical topic. This one focus about type of research, such as quantitative, qualitative, method, or practical, and how to do the research, and how to create the question and answer. And now move to the last one. Move to the last slide. The objective of Practicum. There are 3 points. 1. To put training into the real practice. In this teaching, yes, before Practicum, I have many challenges and many different. And during Practicum, my group member have cooperation well, and so I have some challenge and happy feeling. And number 2, to become professional teacher in the future. During Practicum, I get a good opportunity, and after my graduate of year 4, I will become a good teacher near the future. And number 3, to develop training teaching confidently. Yes, it is exactly. After our Practicum, I get not only me, but also all my group members get a lot of experience, especially from my supervisor and the other group member. They discuss their experience together, and those experience push me more confidently than the first time. Yes, my presentation is finished. Now welcome to Miss Rainier.
Thank you for my group member, Miss Camden too. So now I would like to respect to the committee and our audience here. Now I would like to talk about lesson plan. It has 3 parts. The first, what is lesson plan? The second, why do we need a lesson plan? And third, kind of lesson plan. What is lesson plan? Lesson plan is the road or map of what we need to learn or how it will be done effectively during class time. Why do we need a lesson plan? Lesson plan is essential because it can help the teacher conduct the lesson in class as well as students know what they are going to be learning and how it fits into the course. Lesson plan has 2 kinds. The first, PPP or POL. The full meaning is present practice. The first is PPP or POL. The full meaning is present practice lesson, present practice skill. It can apply for the teaching vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. Aim of PPP or POL focus on to introduce a new language. Objective: at the end of the lesson, students will be able to use a new language effectively and clearly by the student's throat. The second is POS or POL. It can apply for the practice, reviewer skill, practice, reviewer lesson. It can apply for the teaching macro skill, receptive skill, and productive skill. Aim of POS or POL to practice a new language. Objective: be able to the lesson, students will be able to practice a new language smoothly and fluently. Set of lesson plan, PPP or PL. There are 5 steps. The first, lesson opener. The second, warm up or review. Third, presentation stage. Fourth, practice stage. Fifth, lesson closure. The first, for P or S or PL, there are 6 steps. The first, lesson opener. The second, warm up or review. Third, pre-test. Fourth, main test. Fifth, post-test. And the last is lesson closure. For lesson opener, focus about the lesson opener, refer to the teacher, take attendance, look at the student uniform and class management. Warm up or review, refer to the teacher, review a lesson and plays a game. For presentation stage, refer to the presentation stage. Refer to the pre-teach, set a scene or selecting, highlighting or introduce target item. For practice stage, refer to the drill or practice. And the last lesson closure, refer to the teacher wrap up or set homework and say goodbye. For POS or PL, there are 6 steps. The first, lesson opener is related to the PPP or PL. Second, warm up or review is related to the PPP or PL2. And third, pre-teach. Pre-teach refer to the pre-teach, set the scene and well prepared. For main test refer to the skill focus, practice stage or control practice. Fifth, post-test refer to the other skill, other practice. And the last set, lesson closure, it is related to the PPP or PLI. Okay. The understanding about our lesson plan before teaching practice, we are selection some appropriate activities, handout and provide an overall lesson. During teaching practice, we are facing some difficulties. Be flexible to solve the problem, and especially we using some technique in teaching. After teaching practice, we are well done and clearly aim and aptitude about the lesson. Got a lot of experience, and especially we need to research more target items. So finish for my point. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Renier, for present today. And now I would like to respect our lecturer here and all the audience here also. Now I'm responsible about classroom management. Classroom management have the first point, division, second point, third point, and the third point to be improved, and the last point, resolution of this problem. Definition. Classroom management refer to the teacher use the technique teaching control in the class, like keep the student quiet and paying attention, and also and clear define and explanation, and also provide to the student about individual work or pair work, and that is we call to classroom management. Move to this slide. Third point, being well prepared. It means that the teacher, most the teacher prepare or set the lesson plan ready first, and after that prepare uniform, go to school before the start class, and set up the rule in the class. It means that the teach before go to teach, we need to set up the rule in the class, like when the student like have phone and put the silent mode, and use technique for control in the class, and about get student to be interested in the lesson. It means that refer to the teacher use the technique like use about lesson plan that predict for the teacher paying attention, and use whiteboard. Use whiteboard. The teacher most use the whiteboard two parts. The first part use the first part for the previous lesson, and the second part about the new lesson. And sitting arrangement. Sitting arrangement refer to the teacher prepare chair or table in the class, and then put the space for student active in the class. Classroom point to be improved. Allow time to teaching. It means refer to the teacher use go to teach or control in the class before start teaching. Give clear instruction for exact. It means that the teacher provide to the student or explain about topic related to step of lesson plan. And the last point about resolution of problem, time management. Mostly the teacher likes use set up the rule in the class, and then have the technique control in the class also. And boy we talk about the teacher teaching and use speak word by clearly, fluently, and understand to the student. That's all for my point. And then we'll come to Mr. Desal, responsible about methodology.
Thank you, Mr. K. First of all, I would like to respect committee and all the audience. My name is Matisa. I am responsible for teaching methodology. What is teaching methodology? It is important way or method of teaching. There are two important of teaching methodology. The first one, student-centered approach, and second, teacher-centered approach. Student-centered approach. It's the method of teaching that focus on students more active in learning. Like the student is active, the teacher is passive. Teacher guide the student. Teacher arrange the student to work in group or in pair and give them to discussing and encourage and motivate them to study and have an activity in the class. Pair work has close pair and open pair. Close pair when the teacher will assign the student work in pair to discussing. The student have to work with the partner, and in the end of the discussing, the partner have to share the idea privately to each other. For the open pair when the teacher was assigned the work to the student to work in pair to discussing about the task, and after they have finished, in the end of the presentation, the student work in pair have to share their idea in the whole class. Group work teacher have to divide the student work in team or in group to share in order to the student share their idea and their knowledge and working hard, help each other and have good at communication skills in the class. Presentation. What is presentation? Presentation is the activity for the presenter share their own idea and show their idea in the public. And during the class presentation, it is important way for teaching methodology in order to the student have confidence. The teacher put the topic to the student and give them the one topic, and then the student have to discuss and share all together in the class. Presentation is important for students have a feel confident and good at speaking skill and other special skill, macro skill like reading, listening, writing, and reading. In order to the student have confidence for presentation in the class. Teacher sum up the lesson with detailed content. In the end of the teaching, teacher have to summarize, have to the lesson because another point and another lesson and another chapter they don't understand clearly. So when we are teacher, we have to reference document to them and add more idea and explain clearly to to them. The second, teacher-centered approach. Teacher-centered approach, the method of teaching that focus on teacher have more activity for teaching. The teacher is active, the student are passive. Explanation, explaining the student. Teacher have to explain the lesson and during in the class. Students have to sit and listening and look up to the teacher during teacher teaching in the class. Asking the student some question. In the end of the lesson, when the class has finished, teacher have to review our lesson and ask the student some question. Or like teacher give them to presentation. After they have finished the presentation in the class, teacher have to some question to ask the student in order to the student have share their idea and get some information from the topic and how to know the student understanding in the end of the lesson. Our teaching, controlling the student. During in the class I have we have teaching. Some students make a noise in the class. I have some strategy to control the students, like and call them to stand up and ask some question to them. And when the student make a noise in the class, we have to select one student that being annoyed in the class, ask some question, and when they didn't when the student didn't reply to the teacher have to separate them to another table, one side to another side. There are two approach of teaching grammar: inductive and deductive. Deductive from general to specific. In this inductive method, today teacher study about the present perfect. Teacher have to give example and give example to the student, and the student give the form to the teacher. Deductive method. Teacher take a lesson to the student from specific to general. For example, today we have to start. Teacher have the topic study about the present simple. So teacher have to write the form on the whiteboard and give the student give the example to the teacher. So I have end of my presentation. Let's move to the next slide with new presenter, Soren Katika.
Thank you, Mr. Visal, and thank you again for our committee, and as well as thank you for all audience who has present today. Now it's my turn that I will conclude in overall of our presentation today, such as show
as we know that in our teaching Practicum, we have four main parts that have to contribute for doing the Practicum, such as introduction, lesson plan, classroom management, and teaching methodology. As my team member has mentioned us about in the introduction part, that we have 5 subjects in bachelor degree, such as teaching methodology, foundation of education, applied linguistics, research methodology, translation, and interpreting. And as we know that teaching methodology, we can know when we learn about this subject, we can know about how to teach, what kind of method that we use to teach in the class, and we used to learn from it, and as well as we can know what kind of education and how many forms of education that we have. And for applied linguistics, as well, we can use this subject to find out the problem that we can apply to the subject, to the language that we don't know how to show, and we can learn from it to show the problem. And for research methodology as well, we can use this subject to learn how to do the research, learn how to well arrange our lesson, and as well for research, for do the assignment or something else that relate to research. Translation and interpreting as well, we can learn from, translate from one language to the other target language, and we can also use this subject to interpret to the other student as well. And for lesson plan, we also know how to, for this Practicum lesson plan, play the critical role. Like we can plan, we have lesson plan to plan as our guideline or our roadmap that can help to arrange step by step how to manage the class step by step, and as well for classroom management. Even we have lesson plan, but if we don't know how to manage the classroom, it's also the big problem, because classroom needs to manage the teaching on time as well. Even for example, if we have one lesson and we plan in our lesson plan that this step we need to finish this time, but in the actual situation, classroom management important, because if we don't know how to manage, for example, if we put the student in group work, but we don't manage that this group work is the time manage is only 5 minutes, but we don't know how to manage, so this group activity may be move to 10 minutes or move to 15 minutes as well. So it's very, very important. And teaching methodology, like my team also mentioned that teaching methodology is very important also, because sometimes we need to know how to teach in the class, what kind of technique, what kind of methodology that we need to teach in the class as well. We also need to know the student well and their ability also, because we need to apply the teaching methodology. Yes, thank you. That's all for our presentation today. Sorry. And for the suggestion and recommendation, as I am a student of Institute of New Khmer, we are strongly suggest that we should have to do Practicum for next year or next generation, because it is very important for students to know where to know how to do the Practicum, and also teaching in the class that can more effectively and professionally in the future. Thank you.
Yes, I can see here your well presentation. Now you can feel fresh. Take a long breath. Yeah. And then your examiner will come on to your presentation. Alright? So please, Mr. Principal. Okay, the first I would like to pay my honor to the committee here, Supervisor Mr. Solis, and lecturer. Spain, what are the pros and cons of your classroom management?
Thank you, teacher, for question. The pro and con is we use to teaching methodology, and we use for teach about advantages and disadvantages of teaching.
This is a pro or con?
This we call pro and con.
Advantages and disadvantages of classroom management, right? Okay, that's all right. We just want to know that what are the advantages of your classroom management? How could you manage it effectively? Okay. So thank you for your question. And the next to Kanika.
Yes.
Yes. Actually, for the semester 1, we haven't met each other, I think. Among of the 5 subjects in year 4, semester 1. So, what subject do you think is the most difficulty to you? Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for your question. And for me, for this 5 subjects, I think that the most difficulty for me is applied linguistics.
Why?
Actually, among of this subject, I think applied linguistics is difficult because it's kind of have to solve the problem with the language that I think it maybe it's difficult to have to solve the problem that with the new language. That's why I think it's difficult.
It's difficult. Okay. But the other you think it's easy, right? Such as
No,
about the right?
No, a little bit slightly difficult than other, I think.
Okay. Mr. Somara, you hear it? Okay. So you know it is so difficult. So how could you deal with the problem, even you know that it is difficult?
I know it's difficult. So my solution, I try to ask my classmates that maybe I can say that they are more understanding or more outstanding for this subject than me. So I want them to give the advice, the more explanation to me. And as well, I also research for myself more for this subject. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your answer. And my next question to Sister Jantu. You have a very long experience in teaching. Yes, you can say Mama teacher. And my question is, so what should you do to the chit-chatting student in your class during your teaching?
Yes, thank you.
Without making them feel embarrassed. Okay? Without let them feel embarrassed. Yes, yes.
Thank you for your asking, and at this point, for my experience
experience that I used to teach, but I teach in a primary school, so the student maybe around 6 to 9 years old. And when they are talking in the class, first I call him stand up, and sometimes I call him stand up on front of the whiteboard, and sometimes I ask them what I speaking. Yeah. And sometimes I change their class from another one to another one. And sometimes I ask questions to them. That's all.
Okay, so when you call him or her to stand in front of the mirror, then you let them feel shy, right? Isn't it?
Yes. Some students make shy, but some students he has braille. He didn't design.
Okay. Yes, thank you. And with the time, I move my question to Sreinip. Sreinip, actually, after you finish your Practicum, among 3 months, so what do you learn from the Practicum?
Yes. After when we Practicum, before Practicum, we don't know what to make a lesson plan. And after teaching Practicum, I am know how to teach the student and how to
Set up lesson
yes, how to set up the lesson planning. And after teaching practice, I can get a lot of experience from teaching.
Okay, thank you. The last but not least, to Mr. Bisa. I have present on the slide you presented us about the grammar, teaching grammar approach, deductive and inductive approach, right? So, among other approach in teaching grammar, which one is the effective approach to teach the grammar? Why?
Thank you for your question. I read some mistake for the grammar, like when I have a teaching, some student didn't clear from the my lesson, and I have to explain more to them, and you guys have to I have to take a look from the whiteboard. I have write down my form to them, like for example, present simple. I have write form to them, and then I give a chance to them answer my question. I know that my students understand or not in this situation.
So you select the deductive approach.
Yes,
Okay.
deductive approach.
Okay. Getting to this point, I just one more question. Deductive approach could be the best method to achieve the objective when you teach grammar, right?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. That's all with my question, thank you. And for my comments, I don't need to spend time, but my comment is not far from the yesterday comment. I already gave you the comment yesterday, right?
Okay, yes, that's all with me. Move to community drawing.
Okay, thank you. And also, I can see your presentation moment and your answer is acceptable. I have some question to ask you, right? A moment related to classroom management. I can hear answer from Mr. Samara's presentation. Yeah, about the technique that they try to stop disruption, yes, in the class. That you have mentioned that you ask some question to the student and let them to answer. If they cannot answer, break them, separate them. All right. And yes, Mr. Tu, right, already talk about the kids. So I want to know about the others. All right, related to this question. How do you stop disruption in the class without blaming your student directly? Yes, the three of you.
For me, when the student talk to you in the class, and I think they are very difficult to control. So I will not let them embarrassed in the class or something else. I will just appoint to the group activity or pair work that I know that this student is not really talk to with other one more student that they don't never or they really sit next to each other, so they don't have much to talk about, to chit chat or to talk to you in the class. That's why I put them together. So when they do the pair work, so they just focus on the work, the exercise that the teacher give to them. So I can show them without disrupt the class and as well as no more embarrass for them. Yes.
And about me, similar to this, my friend. First set the rule for the class, and then the student know about the rule in the class, and then follow to the teacher. And also when the student chatting or make noise in the class or play game, choose or explain or choose the topic, and then ask to the student about this, and then make the solution or collect the question from the student.
Yes, thank you for your question, teacher. For me, when the teacher spend in class, first of all, I need to set the rule in class, and or can give all of them to play a game that related to the lesson that the teacher teach. And one more, we can give all of them to move a group and put the question to them and give them find the answer and write it on the whiteboard. Yes, thank you, teacher.
Yes, okay. Related to this question again, but in different situation. I want to ask Ms. Chantu. We know in the class always make disruption. So being a teacher, have you ever find about the reason why students try to make noise in the class?
Yes, I have. When they are I call him to stand here, me and ask him why you do like this, why you do like that, and then he told the problem that he meet, and then I try to resolve their problem, and then give him promise me don't do like that again. and then I follow him to your class.
What about you, Mr. Zhao?
Yes. When I have made this situation in my classroom, the first one I have to set my rules in the class and read all the rules to the student understanding. When the student doesn't follow my rule, I have the first one. I have say hello all guys, and next I have to and next time I bring my hand to clap 1, 2, or 3 to welcome back their feeling attention in the class, and then I choose a game to interesting in the class when I have break teaching, and like choose someone to play game, have a ball and throw one by one and listen to music, and then when the ball in front of one student, and the student have to come up to the whiteboard and do the something like monkey or like the sign, another sign or bird. It is to improve their vocab too, and then they will have the feeling to attend my teaching again.
Yes, it is your measure, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I also want to know about the reason. Like you mentioned a moment, you try to attract your student attention again. So that's why sometimes students may not in the class because of our lesson or even your lesson not attractive. Sometimes make them feel bored. Alright? Yeah. So we need attention. Need their attention. We try to attract their attention again. Thank you. I have more question related to your lesson plan. I think you try so hard, right, to complete your lesson plan. Yes. For both round, okay? So, can you tell me what are the most difficulty in your writing lesson plan? Yes. And what your solution to solve out that problem in your writing lesson plan? You got it?
Yes. The first, for me, we should read the topic or the text that we want to teach to the student clearly, and after clearly we can collect the information that we will teach in the lesson, and then we start to draft the lesson plan by step, one step, and then we try to find another material that's suitable about lesson plan, and then we draft again, and then we evaluate about what we wrote. This lesson plan is suitable in our student or not, and we can change some point that we didn't suitable for the student, and we can combine with the method that we have studied suitable for the level of student, like low level or equal or high level, and we create some question and answer support to them.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your question, teacher. For me, the first of all, we need to know which subject that we want to teach. Sometimes teacher want to teach reading, listening, speaking, or writing, and some students, and some teacher want to teach grammar, vocabulary, and then which example when the teacher choose the grammar. And then the teacher need to choose a lesson plan PPP or PEL. And then follow step by step. It have the first lesson opener, second warm up, third practice stage, fourth third presentation stage, fourth practice stage, and the last five is lesson closure, and then lesson opener, and then warm up. So what should we do when to the student, and then set up one by one, and after that, when the student, teacher can follow all the steps of lesson plan.
Okay, thank you, but I just want to know what is the most difficulties in your writing lesson plan? Which point that you think it is hard for you to write?
First step, second step, third step, fourth step.
Which one? I just want to know about the most difficulties in your writing lesson plan. Yeah, you can say a lot of points in writing lesson plan, right?
Yes.
But which point that is difficulty?
For the most writing, for me, the point that important for me is
Not important, it's
the
difficult.
difficulty is the point that the teacher needs to presentation. It,
Presentation stage.
Yes, that's
Thank
right.
you, sir. About me, I want to add more about your question. The difficult of writing
Lesson plan.
lesson plan. Difficult for me about the kind of lesson plan that we have two kind, and PPL and POL. And POL, that means POL, the first lesson closer, and second
Lesson opener.
lesson opener, and review or warm up, and the presentation step, and practice step, and lesson closer, and also related to the POL. Why I difficult about this? Because we want to, when you write and then you go to take, you can use the step of lesson plan in the class. Thank you.
Want to add more?
Yes, I have met with the when I have writing lesson plan, I miss some grammatical and miss the step of lesson plan, like lesson opener, and I miss presentation, and I write on the lesson plan poster. So this is my problem when I have write the lesson plan, and I did not well prepare to my student. Yes.
For me, the difficulty during the process of writing lesson plan is, for me, it's difficult to judge from one step to one step how many minutes or how to conduct the lesson plan that more effective to the student, and I pending and also difficult to judge how to what should I do in this 7 minutes or 10 minutes to include in one task that student can easy to understand and more effectively to teach to them. It's
Okay, good answer. All right, thank you. But I have the last question, but I suppose that two of you can answer. No need to write for all. Yeah, because of time. So related to a part of in your lesson plan. Okay, after you finish your lesson, what technique that you use to check your student understanding?
The first, when I want to make sure the student, the first, after the teacher can warm up the student. What did you learn today? What did you study today? And then student feedback to the teacher. Today we will study about like blah blah blah, and then we can ask to them and give an example or give the meaning of the lesson that the teacher taught. And then this point we can make sure the student can understand that the lesson the student teach or not.
Thank you for the question. About me, about lesson plan that we use for check the list.
Student understand. We check student understanding.
So what technique that you use to the student in order to make sure that they understand the lesson or not? What technique?
Yeah. In my technique, make assignment for the student and then check together.
Okay, for the next session, alright? That's all, or you want to add more?
As for me, if I want to evaluate the understanding of the student, we have a lot of ways. First, we can ask the student what is the concern or what is the point that you don't understand. Surely some students or most of students don't ask the question or don't raise the problem. That's why we need to ask them directly. The point that the teacher think that it's a little bit difficult or critical point, ask some students in the class. If they can answer, it means that the student can understand of the lesson. But if they still don't understand, we can explain more about this point, or we can put the small exercise that relate to the lesson that we teach them. If they can do it, so it means they can understand well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, you know why I ask this question? It is important. Even you try to set up your lesson plan very well, but you cannot check your student understanding. You never know that your technique that you apply in your writing lesson plan, yeah, is acceptable, appropriate or not. So that's why you need to check them, to check their understanding. All right. So being a teacher is not easy. All right. So my question is finished, but I just want to give a little comment for you. All right. Right now you finish, you graduate bachelor degree here. But remember, study never ends. All right. Yeah. Being a teacher, you need to learn. Yeah. Need to research. All right. And prepare for your teaching. All right. So yes, I have no more ideas, so let your supervisor comment here.
I already commented them for many times. Okay. So thank you and thank you for all of your comments. Okay, right. That's all.